Nina Reeves finds herself drowning in anxiety as her carefully crafted plan begins to crumble faster than she anticipated. What she hoped would be a controlled scandal, a private revelation of betrayal that might push Willow away from Drew, has instead ignited a firestorm that could consume her entirely. The aftermath of Drew Kane's drugging incident isn't playing out in Nina's favor, especially now that Drew has identified key details from that fateful night. He remembers just enough to spark suspicion, enough to point fingers, and certainly enough to fuel a relentless desire for justice. At the center of this unraveling chaos, Drew remains undeterred. The incident with the ketamine, the disorientation, the gaps in his memory, the sense of being manipulated, is no longer just a blur. The last coherent moment he remembers involves a direct, chilling exchange with Tracy Quartermaine. She didn't just threaten him, she laid the groundwork for something far more sinister. Now, he's not just looking for answers. He's ready to go to war for the truth. And in typical Drew fashion, once he sets his sights on a target, he doesn't stop. As Drew prepares to press charges and pushes for a full investigation, the tension in Port Charles escalates. Nina hoped the fallout would be limited to emotional betrayal. Instead, she's watching a legal and reputational disaster take shape, one that could expose her own role in orchestrating Drew's downfall. She's tried to stay a step ahead, even leaned on Carly Corinthos Spencer for guidance, but now she's coming to terms with a terrifying truth: there may be no way out. Meanwhile, Willow is caught in the eye of this storm, her loyalties divided and her instincts screaming for clarity. She confronts Nina, wondering aloud if she's naive for trusting Drew's version of events. Her quiet heartbreak is met with Nina's uneasy silence, a maternal figure turned cipher. Nina's refusal to either deny or confess further isolates her from her daughter, and Carly isn't helping. Carly wants the truth out, not for Nina's redemption, but for her own satisfaction and to protect Willow. Dante Falconeri has his own issues bubbling to the surface. What should have been a moment of vulnerability becomes a tangled mess of emotion when he admits to Lulu Spencer that he still loves her. But he also still loves Sam. He's a man divided by memory, by guilt, by grief. And while his heart pulls in two directions, his current state of confusion offers no clarity to Lulu, who remains adrift, haunted by her own secrets, including a pregnancy she's hiding. And as Lulu watches Brooklyn Quartermaine lean on Chase, she can't help but feel the sting of regret and resentment tightening around her. It doesn't help that their teenage son Rocco is beginning to act out in troubling ways. Over the weekend, he and Danny Morgan attended a college party that spiraled into dangerous territory. Rocco ended up drunk and unconscious, a situation that leaves Dante reeling with fury and disappointment. Danny, trying to do the right thing, drags his friend to safety, but the damage is done. Lulu, frantic and feeling increasingly out of control, turns to Carly for advice. Carly, with her usual blend of blunt realism and hardened compassion, warns her, now is not the time to detonate what's left of her relationship with Dante. Secrets have power, and once released, they don't return quietly. As the week progresses, the web of lies and secrets only grows more tangled. Jocelyn Jacks, deep in her own spiral of guilt, realizes she's jeopardized everything by stealing Emma's USB drive, a trove of evidence Emma intended to use for leverage or defense. With Emma now suspicious and actively searching for the missing file, Jocelyn scrambles to cover her tracks. She enlists the help of Vaughn to slip the drive back into Emma's bag before she discovers the theft. But time is running out, and Emma is smarter than they give her credit for. Elsewhere, Brad Cooper makes a reappearance, and his agenda is clear. He's looking to collect on a risky favor he did for Portia Robinson, providing ketamine that has now become central to the investigation surrounding Drew's collapse. Blackmail becomes the name of the game, and with Portia already dealing with her own family complications, Brad's demands couldn't come at a worse time. His presence signals a deeper, darker entanglement in the medical underworld of Port Charles. Tracy Quartermain, for her part, is defiant in the face of growing scrutiny. She vents to Lois Cerullo about the secret adoption, convinced she's been manipulated and misled. But Lois isn't interested in being Tracy's sounding board. She's worried about Dante and the way Rocco's spiraling out of control. More than that, she suspects that Lulu is on the verge of blowing everything sky high by confessing to Dante, and possibly revealing the truth about a child neither of them is prepared to raise together. As Tuesday dawns, Lois is in full damage control mode. She pleads with Dante to remain calm, especially with Rocco already feeling the weight of his father's disappointment. Teenage rebellion, she reminds him, is often a cry for attention or a symptom of deeper instability. Rocco is eventually forced to apologize for his behavior, sneaking out, getting drunk, putting his life at risk. The incident is a sobering wake-up call for Dante, but also a moment that might push him closer to Lulu, even if he's not ready to admit it. Behind the scenes, Alexis Davis returns to center stage. Her legal instincts are buzzing as she begins piecing together the events around Drew's drugging. She recognizes patterns, inconsistencies, motives, timelines, and her gut tells her someone is using the Quartermain family drama as a smokescreen. Alexis begins making quiet inquiries, determined to find the truth even as others attempt to bury it deeper. By the middle of the week, Willow is retreating emotionally, pulling away from both Drew and Nina. Her sense of betrayal is layered, not just from the romantic fallout, but from the realization that her mother, once again, may be hiding the truth. She's not sure she can trust anyone. The weight of her illness, the tension in her marriage, and the endless lies surrounding her push her to a breaking point. Nina, now isolated, begins contemplating the fallout. If Drew connects the dots, if Alexis uncovers the truth, and if Willow turns on her, there may be no redemption left. For a woman who once clawed her way back from villain status, Nina is facing the chilling possibility that this time, her downfall will be permanent. Meanwhile, chaos continues to brew among the younger crowd. Emma's suspicions grow. Jocelyn's fear intensifies. Danny struggles with the guilt of Rocco's condition. And behind it all, someone, possibly Tracy, or perhaps someone even more cunning, is pulling strings that will shake Port Charles to its foundation. Secrets are no longer safely buried. Regrets are rising to the surface. And in the world of General Hospital, the truth always demands a price. Would you like a continuation through the end of the week's spoilers?